evening all, welcome to more tactics. Right, today we're going to discuss cloaks. Cloaking is something that I think I'm starting to see people stop doing. I know, interesting, eh? The patch has been out for what, a week? Well, less actually, I think like 4 days. Do you know what, I don't know, I've lost all track. What day is this? Where am I? What am I doing talking into this big grey thing in front of me? To be honest, cloaking and the whole scouting thing it's an interesting scenario because I'm seeing a lot of people who dabbled in it initially now returning to, I guess, their pre 1.8 fits, which is interesting because I think, you know, people have maybe had a play with it, but they've realized A, it's quite expensive because you do die quite a bit. B, it's probably something that you have to be, I think, just a little bit kind of careful of. I think a lot of people again are just kind of enjoying the other suits as well, because obviously having all of the suits now in there, we have racial parity, so a big rainbow is shining above the land of Dust 514 because we are all racially paritied. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I think really the game is very nicely coming together, and I think already some of the tactics that we saw really being pushed as soon as 1.8 came out, which is obviously cloaking, scouts, etc. People are stopping doing it because, yes, it's fun shotgun cloaking, but you die a lot. Even if you're really good at it, you die a lot. And this is the problem with it. There is a bit of a bug with it as well, which I'm not going to go into or how to replicate, but we had this with a few people from a particular corp, who again I'm not going to name, who had found a way to fire cloaked. And we filmed it, and we're obviously going to share that with CCP. And it's, you know, it's just, I think, part of the game. You get these bugs. Not a lot you can do about them. I'm kind of happy to say as well that it wasn't really being exploited. I think they were still, like, fighting properly, if that makes sense. But, yeah, it was odd. I don't know if it was actually a bug with their game. I think maybe on their screen they actually do decloak, but I think certainly what I saw was they didn't decloak. They were holding a shotgun cloaked. You should see the model, and they're able to shoot me and then run away. And so in that entire transition, no cloaking effect at all, or rather no decloaking at all. But I'm assured for Mr. Saberwing that these things are being fixed, which is great. So you know, other than that, and obviously the forge gun problem, if you don't know what I'm talking about, forge guns don't seem to fire every shot. I think again this is a known issue, and I believe it's being fixed. So, you know, again, you have to just accept that there are going to be bugs on or around an after patch day, and I think already what they've done, you know, CCP, what they've done is really good. The game is so much more fun, it really is. The whole TTK thing doesn't seem to be too bad anymore. And again, I'm only giving you my opinion. Post in the comments, tell me what you really feel, because from my point of view, the whole TTK thing is not so bad anymore. You do die quite quickly if you get caught in a direct crossfire, but I think there's nothing wrong with that. That's probably the way it should be. If you're ambushed, let's say, then it kind of makes sense. So here I'm casing one of my fellow Corpy members. I'm so sorry, dude. I feel terrible I'm killing my own Corp members. But it's just because I was able to ambush him kind of correctly. But look at that shot. That stopped the hack as well. Brilliant. The Flaylock is a terrible gun, by the way. It is really, really bad. It's terrible. So I think cloaking is something that I think people are really kind of getting used to. But we are seeing people migrate away from it, which is not surprising, because you would imagine a lot of people put maybe some basic skills in there. Some people maybe have got like the scout running, but again, I think a lot of dudes will maybe not be terribly comfortable with the whole process of scouting, because it's not the easiest thing to do. It's actually quite tough. And you do lose quite a lot of suits. It's rare, I think, for a scouter to kind of constantly go ISK positive as well, because if you just get caught twice or three times in a match and you're wearing a proto, you know, it's going to hurt. So we have our corp mate back. I'm so sorry again. I feel terrible that I'm about to literally blap him again. I will give you ISK for this, my good friend. I will give you ISK. But again, it just shows you kind of the strength of the scout, really. And I think, you know, hopefully everybody is running a proper scout. Hope you're not brick tanking, dudes. You know who you are. Stop brick tanking right now, because it's going to be nerfed, let's face it. I mean, if you put complex armor plates or even, you know, general armor plates onto a scout fit, you're kind of doing damage to the one thing that makes scouts quite good, which is its speed. So I would say use ferrous scale, maybe reactive if you can fit them, and I think you'll find actually they're not too bad. I think cloaking as well is something that I think people have really tried to get to grips with as what, generally. I mean, cloaking, people saying cloaking is OP, it's only because obviously it's the new thing, it's the new fit of the month, or it's the new kind of, the fun bit of new bauble technology that we can all kind of play with. But I think once people get kind of stuck into it, I think you're seeing a good number of people decide that it's actually probably not for them. It's better to run maybe a good tanked heavy suit or a commando, or even going back to the medium frames that some people seem quite comfortable with. I think people are doing generally quite well with what they had before 1.8 hit. So I think people have had a hiatus into scouting, and I think now they're realizing, yes, they're good, but maybe it's not their kind of core play style that they really enjoy. I'm probably not one of them. I think I've always been a scouter, always. And to me, this game is feeling a lot more like it used to. And I know things like the Flaylock, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, the Flaylock feels, a little bit more fun because you're not instantly getting blapped. You can actually evade. But the actual gun itself isn't entirely good. So I would advise people not to bother with it. It's a funny gun because sometimes you'll hit direct bang on and you'll think to yourself, well, that should have killed the dude, but it didn't. So you just have to get used to that. But again, accompany the Flaylock and things like the Flaylock, like the mass driver perhaps, and maybe even things like the SMG. Put them together with a cloak and you've got an interesting kind of platform to shoot from. But there we go, look, it seemed to work quite well against that guy, but he obviously wasn't tanked. So go figure. Again, to be honest, I'm loving this. I've not played as much Dust as I have this. I mean, I think I'm going to rechange my name to Duna soon because obviously minus the tank, because I seem to just be playing this game continually over and over, and I think I might have to see a doctor at some point about this because it's becoming a bit of a compulsion actually. But it's only because I'm having fun, and I think you can always have a frustration with a game if you're not very good at it, or if your skill that you have is just not really representative in the game. And mine for a while was not there. Scouting was pretty tough. And the cloak and the Nova knives and things like that, and the SMG and all that, they've made cloaking a lot more fun now. But as you see, look at that heavy. I mean, as I fired one shot into him, I realized it would take like all double pistols to kill him. Even then, it would be risky if I even did. So this again gives the ability to evade. So, again, I would stress, don't brick tank because you're not able to evade like I just did then, and you would die. And this is, I think, what's happening is people are brick tanking, thinking it's fit of the month, and the reality is they're getting blapped. And then they're thinking, well, the scout's crap, so they're going back to what they used to, which could be a Logi Slayer or something like that. Which is, it's interesting to me. It's fascinating to me because I think I've always been a scouter, so I guess I'm kind of in my prime with this build. But also I just think the cloak has brought such an interesting game mechanic to the game because, when you're moving, it's really easy to see scouts. I know a lot of you would disagree with that, but again, it comes down to maybe what telly you're using. I used to use a really crappy, I think it was like a 19-inch telly. It was literally, it was like a ghetto. It was like I'd ripped it from a wall from some Eastern European hostel for vagrants. And what I've got now is a very nice kind of, I think 32-inch Samsung, LED, which gives incredible kind of, it's got a gamer mode as well, which apparently is, good. I don't know what it does, but it seems to be. I just seem to be able to see everything. So I think, it's a tricky one to kind of say, well, you can't see cloaks because I see them coming a mile off. Plus, I have a fit. I mean, again, remember my fit is designed to see cloakers. So that's my raison d'etre in this game, is that I am looking to find the cloakers that think they cannot be seen. And again, I'm very careful how I pick my targets. So I rarely go more than 10 kills, but again, I'm not dying a lot because I'm almost running the ultimate lone wolf approach to this game. So there we go. Interesting stuff. I mean, again, I think if you're going to play with cloaks and scouts, you have to kind of accept that for a good few weeks, it's going to take time to get good at them. But I think stick with it if you want to. But again, don't feel you have to. I think there's nothing wrong. Again, I don't have any issue with you fitting a cloak to a heavy or fitting a cloak to a Logi. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's exactly how Eve is. You have a massive penalty for doing it, which is your ability to fit things. And that's the trade-off. So to me, it's all fair game. So there we go, 8-1, not great, but hey, what are you going to do? Hope you enjoyed that. And again, I think we're going to continue our theme of scouting for a while. So I think post in the comments if there's other fits you'd like to see. I think generally we're going to carry on scouting for the time being. I hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.